with Exo, we can do an awful lot. And now, some of you will have done that. You would have used people in the consultancies to do some really great stuff. And that's what Exo has been famous for 20 plus years, the configurability, the integrational ability, if that's a word. But there are so many that perhaps don't realize that just asking is probably always a yes. There's always about time and money, of course, but usually it's possible. So I just wanted to quickly whip through some examples that I asked, reached out to some of the team members and said, could you let us know what you've done lately? And just, just from some of them more complex than others. But if, we'll start with an easy option or an easy example, Company A. And this one here is simply a utility built by the consultant to import data into the cash book entry screen and just bring it in and then process it from there. There is no easy copy and paste from Excel to the cash book entry, but wouldn't that be handy? Well, yeah, sure. So the consultant created a utility to import the schedule and set that up. It then creates a suspended batch on import, ready for you the user to then just press on and post it as usual. So obviously that would save a lot of time for many people. It took about 8 hours to create. So just a nice little example of, let's try that. The next one is stock price updates. This is a long-standing challenge for most people, isn't it? But, updating thousands of stock prices, it's inefficient. Now, most of the time, people can get that into Excel and do some nice bulk updates there and some pivots and all the magic. And then, of course, you want to bring it into Exo. So, look, I know many people have done this over many years, thousands will have, but just don't forget these things can be set up by the consultants, just ask. And then in this case here, it goes to a staging table in Exo so that before it's absolutely confirmed to make sure it all arrives, it gets validated there. And then anything that is sort of not quite right, and this can happen, as we know, with imports, if there's one cell that's slightly out of sync with or has a data character in it that's going to trip it up. So that's all reported and validated. Once everyone's happy, you press go and all the prices are updated. So that's our example from Company B. That's a song, Company B. The intercompany buy-sell automation. Now, this is actually quite common where a company might own two businesses. One does the importing, should we say, and the warehousing, and the other one does the retail selling. And they might have different reasons, but they might have a different limited liability entity that does one and the other one does the other. Now, don't get confused between my Company A and my Company B. Let's just say that the importer sells with one company to the customer. Now, both companies share the same warehouse, so the stock really is just in there, owned by one company. When selling the goods, the available stock can just be supplied, regardless of which company purchased it. And then after that, what happens is that just looking at the case here, they were trying to go into negative and then do journals later or adjustments later. But once we go into negative stock with Exo, it's not happy days and it's just really not recommended. So the best way to do it is what happened here was the customization, excuse me, was, sorry, they could also see the stock levels. And then when the order is placed, this new coding was created. So we go, stock items purchased from Company A to B, a creditor's invoice is automatically generated in Company A because they're purchasing it. The stock is obviously then just there, and we know we can supply it. A debtor's invoice therefore was automatically generated in Company B, debtor's ledger, and the goods are receipted into stock from A. So we go a bit AB there, but you get the idea. If it's a purchase by one, it's creditor invoice generated automatically into that system, and the receipting of the stock, etc., is an automation, and the debtor's invoice charged to the other and vice versa. And the stock goes out. Nice. Okay. Now this one is this one's a bit more technical, so we'll go quickly. But basically, this is a manufacturer using Exo and works orders, and they have to machine most of their parts to you don't make sure they're making to stock, sorry, so that they can actually assemble all their bombs and get the stuff out the door to the customers on time. A check's done on the sales order to see if there are any stock shortages. Exo does that anyway, usually. If there's not enough stock available, the item needs to be manufactured in-house and added to production run. But there are multiple stock locations here, and the stock check is done on the stock locations. So a matrix table is set up to create the stock from all the locations, and where the stock is picked from the manufacturing process, they can see where that stock is, etc. And so they get visibility of all the stock locations. Any stock shortages for this one are checked in this matrix table that was made for them. Based on that, the creator to move the available stock to the sales order location. So where it's going to be generated and produced, etc. We need that stock coming from that location into there so that all the costings and all the right stock movements are done. So the item is an output code for a bill of materials, and Murray talked about the difference between kits and bombs, but this is more the manufacturing process that he mentioned. And then the stock production location checks of those, as I said, it does the works order and then transfers it all to it rolls it all into whether there's been child bombs, or sorry, that's a bit confusing, but bang, it all rolls together, and the right place gets the stock, the right place gets to charge it, and that stock is transferred in the background between those stock locations and correctly. Otherwise, it would be a bit of a mess. So that one's quite complex, but it's just an example of the sort of automation that, as complex as it was, presenting the information, doing the journals and the right transactions automatically or magically behind the scenes, so that it all rolls together and everything balances in the stock locations, and the costings, particularly where the invoice is, it all rolled up there, child, parent, bombs, bang. This one here, a bit more simple, back to simple now. We've got a client that hires out cranes. They use a third-party app, which is a specialist app, obviously, for that particular industry, as we do. We have a lot of those, for specific verticals. Now, when they upgraded, they took it to the cloud. So suddenly it wasn't going to be sitting there on the server and able to just carry on doing what it was doing with Exo. But there's a great Kilimanjaro product called, which is branded Vision K product, which is Zeno API. And this product actually has this ability to work between the two. And if you've still got Exo on the ground in a cloud application you want to go to, it can push and pull the data, as it says there, between the two, and happy days, we carry on. And they were so happy with that. They took it to another customer, because that's happening all the time, where you're getting this hybrid situation. So look, that's just a few quick examples of, some of them more complex than the other. But when you've got the Exo product, the possibilities are usually a yes. There are a few no's, but these are just some examples of how people have got some nice automation, taken away a lot of headaches that otherwise would have had to have been done manually. And just reach out if you haven't seen that happen, if you haven't seen the ability of these consultants to do this stuff. It is amazing, and it's one really great thing about Exo.